And we're back with Richard Reviews. Today we are reviewing a book for richardreviews.com/Griffin Chestnut here on YouTube. This is Richard's YouTube review page. Today's book that Richard will be reviewing for us is from the Japanese author Haruki Murakami, and it is titled Colorless, Tsukuru, Tazaki, and His Years of Pilgrimage. This is charming and ingenious, according to the Wall Street Journal, and it is a #1 New York Times bestseller. Remarkable, says the Washington Post. So this is an official piece from Richard. As we take a look at this, is Richard's piece himself. We're going to take a look at the whole book from front to cover and from side to side, and the climax that this book is really famous for. So we have Richard to thank for that, and he's constantly in his room doing work, working on his thesis, working on his attitude, working on his diet. This was after Richard did his 30-minute workout regimen that he is doing it with Keith, and Keith is in there with him throughout the day. And Richard is very notably part of the generosity that brings into this. So we have Richard to thank for that. So thank you, Richard, for the seasons. Thank you for the seasons that you give to us. Richard reviewed this book post 2014, and he obtained this book post 2014 as well, when he finished his course on his translation, which he mailed through the U.S. mail post 2014 as well. Richard was working in the Yukon Valley when he able to opinionated his voice on the Elay Gourmet, and it took him by surprise when he was ultimately cutting and taking off from the snow. Richard whelped at the Yukon Valley sideshow, being that it is, being part of the Canadian region. Richard is a New York native, and he ultimately grew up in upstate New York near the town of Schenectady. Richard did a lot of hiking, a lot of camping, a lot of outdoor and nature activities where he was able to finish his high school career. He attended college, community college, where he received his degree in pharmaceutical constitution, where he finished up, and he uploaded his thesis, one of his best works, in the link. You can find a link in the description where Richard talks about all of this. He is very fortunate to have a substantial following that abstains from alcohol on the internet, where they can review and talk about the next fine wines. Richard doesn't really consume much alcohol, but when he does, it's usually some therapy vodka or a dark, dry Cabernet. So we're going to take a look at the piece. This is Richard's piece. It's in very good condition. Just off the bat, though, Richard loved this book. Richard gives us 2 thumbs up. He gets all the way 2 thumbs up in the sky, as high as you can go. Hands down, phenomenal piece by Mr. Haruki Murakami. Richard does it again. He gives us a piece that is brilliant once again, and he's able to review it for us here. Mr. Haruki Murakami is a fantastic author and a bestseller in his time here in America. So we have him to thank for his years of pilgrimage. Richard thanks him. We thank Richard for giving us a blastingly obtainable, amazing review. So this is Richard's review for Haruki Murakami, Colorless Tazaki sauce, and His Years of Pilgrimage. As we take a look at the piece now, you're going to see that it's in good condition, but it's a little shallow along the center. And it is a soft cover, as you can tell. It's got great wave. That is some great wave. Yep, that's good wave. Real strong wave. And you can tell the wave is strong by looking at the middle. See? Right off the middle, you can see the delinquents in the middle. Okay, there's the sticker. Of course it's the sticker. The sticker's in the middle, because the middle shows the wave, and it's beautiful. Okay, the thickness is pretty good. It's a pretty thick piece, a little thicker than Norwegian wood, or any of his other ones. But you can tell the condition is very firm. The bottom, condition, good condition. Let's look at the side. Little brim wall here. As you can tell, there must be some page leaking This is, of course, leaking of the page, some water damage. Maybe this transferred through the Yukon Valley to America via boat. We don't know. It's unheard of, and it's also unsure. But this is Richard's sole action, is to obtain this piece and preserve it for the likes of the future generations of Americans. And, of course, up here we have some more good cream. There is some sort of a marking up here. This looks like a peace tattoo that Richard abstainingly disagrees with, and ultimately it will reduce its points in Richard's grading system. Okay, on the side we have what appears to say Haruki Murakami, Colorless Tazaki sauce, and his years of pilgrimage. Beautiful. And it also says vintage, since it is from a vintage classic piece. Okay, on the back we have more praise for the book, which is undoubtedly justified, along with the price, the barcode, fiction, Mr. Haruki Murakami himself, and the barcode is shifted in a delinquent area where it's notoriously shifted down and to the right. So we're shifting down and dilating to the right. So we shift and dilate and shift. Haruki Murakami must have had some say in the positioning of this barcode on this book. Hence it, thy be thy name, thy kingdom come, on earth as it is in heaven. This is what Haruki Murakami praises when he shuns the glyphed pharmaceutical Hennessy. And the Hennessy is brandy that was fermented in its France region. And you can find this most notably in the state of France, which would be notably understandable. But hey, don't take it from Richard. If you want to check this piece out on your own, Richard advises you to purchase it and support the cause. Murakami deserves it. He is a fantastic author. And just because his barcode placement is a little too low for Richard's liking, it's shifted a little too low and a little too left where we're talking here. So it could have been lifted a little higher, maybe a little softer to the angle up, where you could have elevated his picture and then circumcised it and then flattened it out right in the middle. Would have made perfect sense. But Richard is not in charge of the book design for Mr. Haruki Murakami. That, of course, goes to John Gold, who does most of his vintage artworks. Sorry to the point. Richard is sorry to the power. And you can pretty much tell that from just reading the front. So the price on this is $16. And it is also labeled in the fiction section as well. Beautiful piece. Beautiful piece. As we take a look inside, this piece does generate a form of nostalgia going through. Since you've already been a fan of Murakami, you will feel that this piece is necessarily crimson, and markedly so. So there's nothing wrong with reading this piece and watching Scarface starring Al Pacino at the same time. It's really a hand-in-hand, like cookies and cream. We have a page count up here. We have 309. So towards the end, we can round this page out to be around a 300-page book by Haruki Murakami himself, designed by Haruki Murakami himself, read by Richard himself through this time where Richard was able to read beautiful pieces and fantastic works by Haruki Murakami himself. So thank you, Haruki, Mr. Haruki, and thank you, Richard, for giving us these beautiful, magnificent, insightful reviews based on your experience, your circumcision, and your attraction towards the great authors of our generation. Mr. Haruki Murakami, Richard has to thank you, and Mr. Haruki Murakami has to thank you. So 2 thumbs up for Haruki Murakami, Colorless, Tazaki sauce, and the Years of Pilgrimage. Thank you.